I'm going to talk about this subject. Before getting into the subject, maybe I was invited by Professor K.P. Mishra, but I was just wondering what I can talk here. But I am talking maybe a little bit different subject than those speakers before, because I'm pure science starting, I got my PhD 50 years ago in Kyoto University, and so doing this, with this for a long time. I'd like to report sort of my view of atom and life connections. Before that, I'd like to pay attention that science, I think, has a dual role. Science has, of course, most of the technology we have here heavily depends on science, of course. And that is often told, but we have in the past, of course, initially it came as a part of the philosophy, and it's a long time being forgotten, but this is now time that, again, this science should contribute to the wisdom of life, of philosophy, and that's what I am going to tell. Well, outlining my talk is, I will skip it, it's too long. But I start with the phantoms in nature, which is a long time problem for human being, since all times, you know. And this unlimited universe with space, matter, and time fascinated and overwhelmed everybody from a long time ago. And even now, of course, again, another thing which puzzled people is enormous diversity of lives on Earth. And this affected, of course, deeply the philosophy and religion, like traditional Christianity. So, in my youth, when I was a high school student, I was not exception to be in the experience how often I thought of the universe until infinite universe, it's very striking. Then I felt my body very often falling into the dark space without knowing anything, just going down and down, down. It was an awful experience, very uncertain feeling. I would not like to be like that. I was a very sensitive person in that time. So I started to two things. One is to understanding science, how much, including my life itself, one can understand from materials. It may be worth exploring. The second, searching internal peace more directly myself. And I went to Zen temple and Buddhism origin basically, and later I go into yoga. But these two have no contradiction with me. These are both based on finding it yourself. You can doubt everything, only you find it yourself. That's the point. So these two are from the starting in me from the same original point. That is important. And so these science and religion, well, I just make it religion, it's such a spiritual thing. There are two sides of one coin, and it's not, you can't go without any of this. That's my thinking. So puzzles in nature, maybe I just go through very briefly in the past how it happens. You know, everybody knows Galilei, Newton, try to understand the universe. And later in 19th century came the biology and original species. This is only 150 years ago or something. It's rather recent. And this concept, evolution, is not accepted by everybody. There's strong opposition to this. Millions of people are opposing in the United States, for example. So But in later 19th century, atoms, people come to the atoms concept and molecule concept, and then all the industry started, also biology, and how atoms are connected into molecules. The basic rule was created by Schrödinger of quantum mechanics. And so all the molecules are now firm basis for forming in here. And he even questions, the first person who questions life, how can one understand life from basic laws of physics and chemistry? So after that, after this time, in 60s, in 20th, middle century, middle 20th, there was central dogma came, DNA and digital information, causing digital information proteins. So simply, protein molecules is an expression of digital information DNA, and this is considered to keep most of the lives on Earth. It's very surprising that all the living creatures are obeying this dogma. And biology, it's actually, all the biology looks very complex, diverse, but in terms of molecule, it's actually very united, very simple. And protein molecules, when it is made in the cell, then it falls, and it's made out of amino acids commonly for all the protein molecules on Earth, whatever the living creature is. So again, it is very, shows the very commonness of lives on Earth. And they later found that this automatically falls into structures, and each structure has its own function, and that's how the molecule works. Even in one molecule called lysine, from all different animal species, you look all the same, very similar. Actually, these are coming from all different kinds of a diversity of animals like that. Shows so much similarity in molecules. I think this is fascinating. So, hidden in molecules, which is too small to see usually, but you see the unity or commonness very much among the different diversity of living creatures. So proteins are chemically simple molecules, but carry out most functions all lives on Earth. This is well known now. And I think it's very amazing. This looks, I don't know, you may not be feeling very useful to this kind of talk, but life looks in that way complex, diverse, hierarchical, but actually very simple in proteins, at this stage at least. So the next step is then how proteins keeps life going. It's a question all solved if you know the structures. Actually, I live in a countryside in Japan, This is my garden, in Japanese garden. In winter, it's like that for 5 months. So, but in spring comes, and it changes dramatically. All the flowers, all the greens, everything coming up. You feel the life is so dynamic, and they are living. And that is very important feeling, apart whatever the protein is. So I am feeling life directly as a friend or very close to something. And so what is this in behind? Not only the vegetables, plants, but also whale jumps, for example, or we have disease, for example. All these are done actually by protein molecules. These are changing shapes. Only it is not written dynamically in pictures, but they are moving dynamically. That's how whale can jump. So protein is functioning at the atomic level by certain movement. And if this movement becomes wrong, you may lose your life. Because this is becoming clearer in medicine and medical treatment and drugs now being investigated, studied at this level, protein level, how atoms interact, how atoms move. So you cannot, I'm not telling anything, something special. This is just a fact. And if you are living in this world, you are getting a lot of things out of this science, medicine, all these kind of plastics, everything that's coming out of molecules and their designs done on the atomic basis. So this fact, you have to admit, whatever the religions, whatever the fact internal I have internal choice in myself. I do meditate from time to time, and I need that. But still, this is different. It's not invading. So, how the proteins work for jumping, for example. This is another part that connect atoms and molecules to life. And how does a protein work? And that seems to be a key point to consider life in terms of the materialistic side. Okay, proteins are just simple connections of 20 amino acids, but it's delicately formed into structures, and they're weak bonding. So they are actually dynamic and sensing the environment. And that's how, in spring, the flower blooms. And in different various species, different proteins function properly. So there is some secret in dynamics of proteins, and I like to see that. But this is not a very easy task. And I go to a technique called NMR, nuclear model. This is relative to MRI. And it was invented Felix Bloch, 1946. He came to Mumbai in 1974. I met him there. And I took this technique, but it gives only static structures. So I invented to make it connected with pressure. So you pressure proteins solutions, then it enhances movement that I found. And you see these are all atoms of molecules, atoms of amino acids. There are hundreds of amino acids. You can see all the signals from the atoms. And if you apply pressure, it shows difference. So it's changing shape as it reversely goes back. So what's happening is, it turns out that it's from crystal structure, there is a different structures and going back. There is a different structures, open forms are hidden, and this happens to any proteins. This is a ubiquitin everybody has, very important proteins for all animals. But if you pressure up, it shows different forms and going further in different forms. So these excited states, they call it, are hidden. Only you can see them by increasing pressure. And anyway, these are important because these open form is an excited one, the excited state is where the proteins function, interact with the next step. So it's a functioning structure which is hidden. So my high pressure NMR visualize them. There are a lot of things hidden besides the crystal structure of proteins. And this can be very crucial because they are the reactive species of proteins, functional proteins. They are kept low because they are very reactive. And so, concluding enough, summarizing my finding, that with this cartoon, proteins, most proteins you see have a more stable folded form. You might see it in crystals. And even solution, this is dominant form. These forms are hidden. But these forms, it changes from protein to protein, but all proteins have. And these are actually the functional state. This is my finding. And these are, because this is functional, this is most important. And this can sense the environmental change, like temperature, spring. And if you have different animals, it has to be changed for the temperatures, like body temperature different. So there is this assignment and changes, evolution is done here. I have an example to show, but I have no time to convince you on this point because time is limited. Where's my watch here? So, just briefly, yes, I have to give this talk. And so this is one of the conclusions that proteins functions through the hidden high energy excited states. And you may think, this simple rule I say, what does it mean? How is it coming to life? But you know these days, I'm interested in just basic connections between atoms and life at all. And you know, these days, medicines, medical, if you go to medical society, all these are talked in terms of molecules, their interactions. So you can't escape from that. So this later, any phenomena, biological phenomena, as we see them, like growing trees and things like that, can be followed if you have time. But the basic is here, that's why I say, this is common to all the life phenomena, including ourselves. So, in concluding, my new vision of life is a crucial part. Protein has been designed for function by life itself, because life itself designed the proteins. you know, it's after the evolution of 4 billion years. So it's a miracle at this moment done by the enormous time spent for evolution. And it was done each time by mutation in life itself. So life itself adjusted to make this. So another thing is, all living creatures are one family. We are all made proteins out of common amino acids sorry, and common DNA. The material is all the same. And so, further, so we are all connected. And our atoms, furthermore, are connected.